I add points to become an immortal in the demon martial world. Introduction. www.zhaozuiyuan.com. There are monster beasts, martial arts, and immortals in this world. The chaotic times have risen, and Lin Shua, who came from an ordinary background, struggled hard in the chaotic times. The property panel he wrote himself became his only reliance. https://www.zhaozuiyan.com. Chapter 1. Panel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, heavy snow is falling and the sky is slightly bright. Lin Shua opened his eyes and was awakened by the unfamiliar yet familiar biological clock. Today is the third day of coming into this world. After staying up all night in my previous life, I was gone. When I opened my eyes again, I came into this world. After 2 days of fusion, the two memories finally merged into one, indistinguishable from each other. These past 2 days, he has been studying the legendary welfare of travelers, but it is not quite what he imagined. Although it was a panel from a small game he made himself in his previous life, there were some issues with the architecture. He can't add any more. There is an illusory plus sign behind both martial arts realm and martial arts, but it cannot be added due to the fact that the source PowerPoint is 0. Thinking of this, Lin Shua opened the panel again and looked at today's changes. Name. Lin Shua Martial Arts Realm. Midday after tomorrow, progress 75% martial arts. 3 transformations of Black Dragon skill. Heavenly Scroll, progress 52% in 1 transformation source force point. 0 main task. The revenge of killing father is eternal. Please kill the left protector within 3 months. Reward. 50% progress in current martial arts realm and 50% progress in current martial arts regional task. None in the past few days, Lin Shua has searched for everything around him, and there has been no increase in the source of power, which makes him very anxious. 3 months of trying to kill the left protector during the refining period, I'm afraid it's just a pipe dream. With his current martial arts cultivation level in the middle of the day after tomorrow, he cannot be the opponent of the left protector with 10 more. I don't know how this main task came about, maybe it was his predecessor's obsession. Or can it be randomly released? Don't think about things you can't understand. Whether out of intention or to complete the task, now he only wants to become the left protector within 3 months. He had a premonition that if he couldn't complete the main task within 3 months, the outcome might not be very good. With a sigh, Lin Shua put on his clothes and went to the washroom to start rinsing. A tall figure was reflected in the bronze mirror, with clean and sharp short hair, slanted and handsome sword eyebrows, and a tall and handsome nose bridge. This feeling is really amazing. Xiaoshua, come for breakfast. Mother's shout came from outside the house. Here we go, here we go. He walked to the living room and sat down, when it was not yet fully daylight and an oil lamp was lit inside the room. A charming woman has already sat at the table, with food on the table. Lin Ranru, almost 40 years old, although time has left some traces on her body, her elegant and calm temperament still remains the same as before. She deserves 7% of the credit for her handsome appearance. Sit down and eat. Lin Mu pushed congee and pancakes full of meat to Lin Shua, and she picked up another bowl of white porridge to drink. How much money is left in our family? Lin Shua looked up at his mother. Lin Ranru pursed her lips and avoided Lin Shua's gaze. She lowered her head and said, 15, 20, and 60 copper coins. I will find a way to deal with the money. Xiao Shua can focus on practicing martial arts. Lin Shua nodded and didn't speak again. There isn't much money left at home. Practicing martial arts on one's own has taken up the majority of the family's expenses. After Lin's father passed away last month due to gang conflicts, his income alone has become a bit inadequate. Either we can save on rent and move to the west of the outer city, or we can only reduce the cost of practicing martial arts. Moving to the chaotic and dirty shantytown in the west, there is no guarantee of daily safety. Even if I can bear it, I will not let my mother suffer this crime. Lin Shua thought for a moment and then choked the thought to death. After thinking about it, I quickly finished breakfast and tidied up the dishes with my mother before putting on the Black Dragon Club style coat and leaving the door. Thanks to his father's connections, he joined the Black Dragon Club and worked as a laborer every month, earning 15 taels of income. But this little money is only enough to barely survive in the east of the outer city. Walking onto the street, Lin Shua exhaled hot air and rubbed his face with his hands. The winter here is really cold. The cold wind howled outside, and the whole world was covered in snow white. Early in the morning, deep footprints have been left on the sidewalks on both sides of the street, many nearby shops have already opened, and various small businesses and vendors are also filling the roads. The cold air is filled with the aroma of wine, and the fried aroma is mixed with various smells. People who eat breakfast, work, and do business come in an endless stream, full of the atmosphere of life. Lin Shua walked calmly as he passed by a breakfast shop. 4 or 5 young people walked towards him, all dressed in Black Dragon Club uniforms. "Brother Shua, good morning." The leader was tall and rugged in appearance, and he warmly waved his hand to greet Lin Shua. "Ali, good morning." Lin Shua smiled and patted Wang Li's shoulder. Head on. "Brother Shua, I'll treat you to breakfast," Wang Li said as he prepared to take Lin Shua towards the pancake stall. "No, I've eaten it all before. Next time, hurry up and eat. Don't be late." Wang Li, his childhood friend, is already 18 years old, 2 years younger than himself, and has been following behind him since childhood. Nowadays, there are also those with the same strength from the early days after tomorrow who are also fighting within the Black Dragon Club. "Let's go, hurry up. Did you hear that Qingyuan Trading Company is opening its branch in the east of our outer city today? It said that those who enter the first 50 will get a 30% discount. If you go late, you won't be able to make it." "Really? What are you waiting for? Let's run." Lin Shua turned back to look at the 2 people passing by and stopped. No wonder the people who just passed by hurriedly ran in one direction. It turned out that a commercial bank in the inner city was coming to open a branch in their outer city. While it's still early, Lin Shua is also preparing to join in the fun. This inner city business hopes to have many rare items to sell. Even if you can't afford them, it's still good to see the world and join in the fun. With the flow of people, Lin Shua arrived at the entrance of the commercial store and looked up at the rectangular plaque with golden characters on a white background. The 4 characters were carved with flying dragons and phoenixes. Qingyuan Commercial Store. At the entrance of the commercial store, there were many people lining up. Lin Shua lined up in line and after a moment, entered the door. "Welcome, young master, please come inside." A beautiful maid greeted her with a smiling face. Lin Shua's eyes lit up and he looked for the welcome attendant at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. In terms of appearance and temperament, he was comparable to a wealthy lady from the east of the outer city, but here he could only be a servant. The strength of Qingyuan Commercial Bank is evident. The commercial building has 2 floors and is decorated in a very grand manner, with a bright hall that can accommodate dozens of people without feeling crowded. The counters are made of precious wood. Inside are various items, all of which are used by martial artists in terms of style, including pills, weapons, and even martial arts. Standing by the counter were 7 or 8 black-clad attendants in uniform, looking quite capable. At this moment, a black-clad attendant saw Lin Shua and quickly welcomed him with a smile on his face, saying, "What does this young master want to see? Our store can definitely satisfy you and leave." Lin Shua waved his hand and said, "No need, I'll take a look myself first. I'll call you if I need it." The black-clad waiter nodded slightly upon hearing the words and stood back in his original position. Lin Shua watched from various counters. Balian Dao. Made from refined iron as raw material and refined with second-order iron-eating animal bone powder. It cuts iron like mud and is priced at 200 taels. Pass, next one. Peiyuan Pill. A first-grade pill that solidifies the foundation and cultivates the essence. It assists the later martial artists in their cultivation, with a quantity of 50 taels per pill. Lin Shua's eyes were a bit hot. It's such a good thing, one of which is worth several days of hard work. However, he feels shy in his pocket. Lin Shua withdrew his gaze and continued to watch. During the scan, a red round pill caught his attention. I saw that the round pill was bright red all over, the size of a fist, packed in a transparent box, and the space above the round pill was twisted. Flame Bird Demon Pill. Second-level demon pill. Before I could finish reading the introduction, an imaginary panel popped up from before my eyes. Got a reaction. Chapter 2. Yu-in. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, name. Lin Shua Martial Arts Realm. Midday after tomorrow, progress 75% martial arts. 3 transformations of Black Dragon skill. Heavenly Scroll, progress 52% in 1 transformation source force point. 0 main task. The revenge of killing the father is unforgettable. Kill the left protector within 3 months. Reward. 50% progress in current martial arts realm and 50% progress in current martial arts regional task. None. Detected absorbable source force, please touch with both hands. Detected absorbable source force, please touch with both hands. The demon pill started to crazily prompt on the panel within 1 meter of itself. Just as Lin Shua was immersed in the prompts, all the waiters in the room respectfully greeted loudly, "Welcome Manager Yu." Lin Shua looked up and saw a beautiful figure at the door. The person had a slender figure, wearing a snow-white mink coat tightly wrapped around her plump body. Exquisite facial protein exudes a reddish hue, with delicate and enchanting features. A head of silver hair drapes over fragrant shoulders, exuding a mature scent throughout. The straight long legs were wrapped in a tight black warrior suit, making the leg shape look very attractive. Just towards that station, the entire hall seemed to brighten up. This is a beautiful and charming woman. Despite being baptized by modern big data, Lin Shua's appearance and temperament are also the top priority in his heart. Alright, everyone relax and go back to your position. Hunger, follow me to the 2nd floor. Okay, miss. The opportunity has come. Lin Shua, who was originally struggling with how to obtain the demon pill, immediately had a clear idea when he saw Yu-in. He thought of something that women would find difficult to refuse if he made it. Before leaving the business, he looked through all the items inside the counter. There are so many products in the counter, and the panel has only responded to the demon pill temporarily. Go back today to prepare and come back tomorrow. If nothing unexpected happens, this can definitely happen. It was getting late, and Lin Shua quickened his pace and rushed to the stop of the Black Dragon Club. At this moment, the Black Dragon was stationed inside the store, and Wang Li stood anxiously at the door, constantly gazing into the distance. The roll call will take place in a while, but Shuagu hasn't come yet. Later on, he may be scolded by the steward Yang Wei, and maybe he will have to wear small shoes. It wasn't until Lin Shua's figure appeared in the distance that Wang Li breathed a sigh of relief and greeted him. Brother Shua, we're going to call the roll soon. Hurry up. Don't worry, there's time. Let's go in and talk. The two of them stopped talking and entered the inner hall one after another. At this moment, all the gang members are quietly lining up in a square in the inner hall. In front of everyone was a young man, bowing his head and sketching in his notebook. When he heard the sound of the two people coming in, he glanced over. He didn't speak, just silently watching the two of them. Wang Li felt pressure as he was watched by so many people. He quickly looked at Lin Shuo beside him, only to find that he was very indifferent. Lin Shuo patted Wang Li's shoulder and walked towards his team. Wang Li quickly walked towards his position upon seeing this. Alright, everyone is here too. Let's start today's personnel arrangement. Yang Wei really likes the feeling of holding power. Su Lingsen, Yang Shini, and Lu Yao inspected Tianyuan Street in Changgol today. Ruan Yen. The person who was called out nodded and responded, then left the stronghold in 2s and 3s. Lin Shuo and Wang Li are going to inspect Shangyuan Street in Changqingfang today. After taking orders, the two of them walked out of the stronghold together towards Changqingfang. Shortly after leaving the stronghold, Wang Li gathered together and began to roast. Brother Shuo, this grandson is uneasy and kind. Shangyuan Street is in such a mess now, how can we just send the two of us to settle down? How about we put a burlap bag on him at night and make him save him from being an angel all day long? Upon hearing this, Lin Shuo felt a bit overwhelmed and immediately laughed and cursed, "Are all the muscles in your head, kid?" Leaving aside his uncle as the head of the headquarters, let's just talk about Yang Wei's strength, which is also in the middle of the day after tomorrow. Can you beat him? What do you say, Shuo Gu? Although Shangyuan Street is nominally the territory of our gang, it is temporarily in a state of no one's jurisdiction after the battle with the Giant Whale Gang last month, and we may encounter people from the Giant Whale Gang. Don't go today, I'll go alone. You can help me buy something later, I'll be of great use. Be clever, don't be seen by acquaintances in the gang. I'll treat you to dinner at the Four Seas restaurant tonight. After hearing this, Wang Li shook his head crazily and said, No, I don't trust you to go alone, Brother Shuo. Lin Shuo convinced Wang Li only after ensuring that he knew how to fish and prioritize safety. 15 taels a month, what's the point of playing with fate? Lin Shuo is going to Shangyuan Street to show his face and find a place to fish until the afternoon. In an inconspicuous tea house on Shangyuan Street, Lin Shuo sat quietly drinking tea. Mixed gangs have no future. The urgent task is to thoroughly activate the system and enhance the realm by adding points. Time flies by quickly, and an afternoon passes by in a flash. In the evening, Lin Shuo arrived at the Four Seas restaurant. This restaurant is not big, only 1 floor high, with white and gray exterior walls that look very inconspicuous. There is a wooden sign hanging in front of the door, with the words, Four Seas Restaurant, written on it. His specialty dish, drunken immortal fish, is actually a delicious dish. This fish contains a trace of demon bloodline and has an extremely delicious taste. Lin Shuo likes this bite and often comes to visit. Entering the open hall, the aroma of various dishes mixed in, making one's appetite open. As far as my gaze can see, there are several 8 immortals tables and chairs in the hall, with half of them seated. In front of the table by the window, sat 3 young men in black with the word, whale, tattooed on their chests, all of whom belonged to the Giant Whale Gang. Zhaoshuyuan.com. One of them was tall and muscular, as strong as a bear, with clear and powerful muscle lines throughout his body. His appearance is very fierce, with rough skin and ugly features. At this moment, he was holding a wine jug in his left hand and stepping on a stool with his left foot, chatting loudly while drinking. Lin Shuo furrowed his brow slightly, and the members of the Giant Whale Gang were also present. He was certain that there would be a conflict later, but there was nothing to be afraid of. He then turned his head and walked towards the empty table in the corner. Objectively, what can I do? The waiter respectfully walked up to Lin Shuo as he sat down. A pot of xiaojiu, 2 plates of side dishes, 5 pounds of beef, and 2 drunken fairy fish. Okay, sir, please wait a moment. I'll get it done for you right away. The waiter said as he left. Before the dishes were ready, Lin Shuo saw Wang Li walking briskly with a playful smile on his face. Brother Shuo, I'm lucky I didn't lose my life. It's not easy to find these things. It took me half a day to gather them all for you. Grunt, they're all here. Wang Li placed a package and some broken silver on the table and pushed it to Lin Shuo. Lin Shuo took the package and carefully examined it. After confirming that it was what he wanted, he nodded and threw the silver to Wang Li, saying, "It's more than your errand expenses, and you don't have much money." Wang Li nodded and casually put the silver in his pocket, then pouted at the members of the Black Dragon Society. "Do you think that the ugliest one is Xiao Hu? I have heard of this person's name, he must be so ugly. I heard he also has an older brother named Xiaolong, who is the manager of their stronghold. Don't be fooled by his ugliness, he is quite strong. Last month during the battle, I saw that this person had already restrained our 3 brothers in the early days after tomorrow." The 2 of them chatted and indulged in a hearty feast. After being full of wine and food, Lin Shuo stood up and prepared to go home. Chapter 3. Slaying. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, alright, it's getting late. I'll go check out. Waiter, waiter. At this moment, the waiter was standing trembling in front of the 3 members of the giant whale gang, blocking their way with both hands. "Hey, my guest, you haven't paid yet. Grandpa, you can't leave." The waiter has a short stature and is not even close to the chest of a strong man. Xiao Hu casually threw him and pushed him to the ground. "Get out of here, come here to eat. I look up to you and dare to take my money," said the strong man fiercely. Then he spat at the waiter again. Ha ha ha. The 3 of them burst out laughing loudly. "Stop and pay the money before leaving." Wang Li immediately went over and slapped the table. The whale gang has always had conflicts with them, and he also suffered many injuries during the fight. At this moment, seeing the arrogance of the whale gang, he was furious and prepared to teach them a lesson. I wonder who it is. It turns out to be a little rascal from the Black Dragon Club. Today, let me teach you a lesson and let you know the consequences of meddling. Before he could finish speaking, Xiao Hu pounced forward and patted Wang Li's head with both hands. Wang Li's reaction was not slow either, he squatted down and avoided this thrust. Although he was startled by Xiao Hu's sudden move, his body still reacted. During the squatting process, both fists forcefully grasped towards Xiao Hu's lower body. Black Dragon Claw. The moves included in the Black Dragon technique are also common moves used by ordinary members of the Black Dragon Society. Xiao Hu quickly dodged and retreated backwards when he saw this situation. "Xiao Wusan, your hands are quite black. Are all the moves of your Black Dragon Club so cunning? Look at Grandpa, don't you kill him." Xiao Hu was furious and almost got a peach picked. Ha! Xiao Hu suddenly shouted loudly, his footsteps rushed, and his fists hit Wang Li's abdomen in a series. This punch was powerful and heavy, and Wang Li dared not take it hard. He could only retreat and dodge, while using his flexible body movements to find weaknesses in his opponent. The strong man dared not take the punch from Wang Li and bullied his body hard. After a few rounds, Wang Li showed signs of decline. He didn't dare to confront him head-on, and his black hand was intentionally guarded by Xiao Hu, so he could only rely on his body movements to move around. There is a saying that if you keep it for a long time, you will inevitably lose. At this moment, the situation took a sharp turn and Wang Li was forced into a corner, unable to retreat. Bang, bang. Wang Li had no choice but to block his chest with his arms and forcefully punched him twice, causing his body to fly backwards and crash into the wall. Xiao Hu took advantage of the victory to pursue. Just as he was about to step forward and end the battle with a punch, the sound of breaking through the air came. A stool hit him hard on the back. Are there any more experts? Xiao Hu's eyes were red, and he turned around with a hint of a grim smile. He's angry. The muscles all over the body rapidly expand, with veins bulging and floating on the surface. Gudong. The giant whale will involuntarily surge its throat and swallow a mouthful of saliva. In this state, Xiao Hu and his companions have had the privilege of seeing it several times. With the help of the explosive secret technique, Xiao Hu, like a fierce beast, fiercely hammered the same level warrior. Die for me. Xiao Hu let out a loud roar and jumped into the air, making a flying leap towards Lin Shuo. How fast? Lin Shuo's eyes lit up, and in this state, Xiao Hu was a good opponent. Bang bang, bang bang bang. In an instant, the two of them punched each other several times in a row and then retreated separately. Ha ha ha, have fun. Xiao Hu has a happy heart, and he likes this kind of tough opponent. It's rare to encounter a martial artist of the same level who dares to fight with him, which makes him delighted to see him. Come again. Xiao Hu punched again, and his already sturdy body seemed to have grown even bigger. After the first few punches, Lin Shuo had almost figured out Xiao Hu's strength. Under the explosive state of the secret technique, Xiao Hu has already possessed the strength of a typical midlife warrior. So, it's time to end this farce. The black dragon power spread throughout both hands, unleashing a burst of power that instantly doubled the overall fitness of the body. Lin Shuo came first, grabbed Xiao Hu's neck, and with a strong buckle, lifted him up. Xiao Hu struggled vigorously in the air like an eel with its neck pinched. But to no avail, that hand locked him tightly like a tiger's paw. Lin Shuo steadily lifted Xiao Hu, weighing over 200 pounds as if he were as light as a feather. The two players who were still playing hard just now quickly drew the winner in the blink of an eye. The strength demonstrated by Lin Shuo shocked everyone present. After several breaths, Lin Shuo looked at Xiao Hu, who was struggling increasingly weakly, and threw him away like throwing garbage. Xiao Hu fell to the ground in embarrassment, greedily sucking in the air and almost suffocated to death. Xiao Hu struggled to get up while lying on the ground. The two younger brothers saw this and quickly ran over to help him up. After taking a moment to catch his breath, Xiao Long silently dropped 3 taels of silver on the ground and left. Lin Shuo looked coldly at them and did not stop them from leaving. Just now, all he needed was a gentle twist on Xiao Hu's neck, and he would stay here forever. At this moment, Wang Li also walked over, groaning and rubbing his arms. He leaned over to Lin Shuo's ear and whispered, "Brother Shuo, we have a bad relationship with him this time, and I'm afraid we'll have some trouble in the future. The people who have offended the Shaw brothers before have all disappeared. Why don't we just do him this time without stopping? Let's take action first." Taking advantage of the situation, I made a motion to wipe my neck. Wang Li was a bit anxious, and his muscular brain suddenly became aware of his fear. Lin Shuo's eyes flickered upon hearing this, and he immediately shook his head and said to him, "Think carefully before taking action next time, don't be so reckless. I have my own thoughts on this matter, you don't have to worry, I'll take a step first. Waiter, pay the bill. Don't change if there's too much." Lin Shuo immediately patted 2 taels of silver on the table and turned around to leave. In the empty alley, Lin Shuo stood behind a tree waiting. He just followed these people and, after determining their route, took a shortcut to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. At this moment, 3 figures walked straight ahead. "Tiger brother, that kid just got a little started, it seems like he's the son of the dead ghost Lin Sheng." "So what, just a dead person, are you still afraid of him? I heard that Lin Sheng's wife has a good appearance. Although she is a bit older, her charm still lingers. When my brother kills her son, let's roll her over and have a good time playing." Just as everyone was chatting and laughing. Click. Lin Shuo stepped on the slate, and the slate shattered in response. He suddenly erupted and rushed towards them like a ghost. Xiao Hu only saw a black shadow approaching, and only had time to cross his hands to protect his chest. Puff. The figure flew up. Xiao Hu's bones in both hands were shattered, and he looked up and sprayed a mouthful of reverse blood. His body flew backwards and crashed into the mud wall on the roadside before falling to the ground. His life and death are unknown. The other two suddenly realized and stood for a moment before quickly putting on defensive positions. Not long after, there were two more bangs, and both of them spat out blood and flew out, falling to the ground motionless. Lin Shuo looked down at the three corpses on the ground, and all the anger and killing intent on his face disappeared. Family members are his untouchable scales. In my past life, I never even killed a chicken, but now I don't feel any discomfort even killing 3 people. In this world, the weak are like weeds on the roadside, and when the wind is strong, they will be blown down. In a deserted small courtyard nearby, Lin Shuo looked silently at the 3 tails of silver in his hand. A group of poor ghosts, no wonder they want to eat the king's meal. He casually threw the 3 people into the well and sealed the manhole cover. I hope the news of these 3 missing people can be delayed for a few more days. It's time to go home and do some serious work. Chapter 4. Activation Points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Lin Shuo returned home and greeted his mother before returning to the bedroom. Take out the item that Wang Li was asked to purchase today from his pocket. In his past life, Lin Shuo would brush a certain sound to pass the time. Since watching traditional handicrafts once, the system always recommends similar videos to him. I have covered everything from papermaking, engraving, to repairing donkey hooves and gunpowder formulas. I don't know if it's the power of 2 generations of human souls merging into one, or the benefits provided by the panel. As long as he thinks, he can vividly recall the scene he watched earlier. Beeswax, dried roses, olive oil. It's not easy to gather all these things for the entire city of Yuanhe with a population of 1 million. Wang Li ran through many markets to gather all these strange things. Following his memory, Lin Shuo began to make it. Unconsciously busy until midnight, lipstick can be considered half done. Due to the lack of grinding tools, the base of the lipstick cannot be made at the moment, so he can only wrap the molded lipstick in oil paper. Lin Shuo is planning to make a transaction with the shopkeeper at Qinyuan Trading Company tomorrow morning. In the quiet of the night, Lin Shuo, who had been washed up, lay under the bed, his thoughts diverging. The matter with Xiao Hu will soon ferment. It should be quick to find out about oneself, and Xiaolong in the later stage of the day after tomorrow is also a formidable enemy that cannot be underestimated. I am already in a never-ending situation with him. And there's also the left protector, who killed his father and avenged him. This person is a martial artist in the refining stage, and it's really difficult to catch up with him within 3 months. In the later stage, one's own strength far surpasses that of ordinary humans, and one does not know how powerful the subsequent refining of bodies and gods will be. Recently, prices in the city have started to rise again. I heard it's related to the border war. Thinking one after another, Lin Shuo's thoughts kept diverging. Unconsciously late at night, Lin Shuo quickly fell asleep. The next day, the sky was slightly bright. Lin Shuo opened his eyes on time. Last night, heavy snow fell and the north wind howled. The cold wind penetrated the window and blew into the bedroom, and even my strong body felt a hint of coldness. This is the coldest season of the year. Although there are martial arts and monsters in this world, the living conditions of the lower-class characters are still difficult. Although Yuanhe City is known as one of the 100 cities of the Great Qi dynasty, the regional economy is still relatively developed. There are also people who lack food and shelter, and they don't know how to get through this harsh winter. Although I really want to do something for the people in this world, it's not something I can do now. After finishing breakfast, Lin Shuo headed straight to Qinyuan Trading Company. It's still early, and there aren't many customers on the first floor of the entire business. As soon as Lin Shuo entered the door, a black-clad attendant greeted him. After informing him of his intention, Lin Shuo was arranged to sit down and wait. In no time, the pretty-looking waitress Honger walked over. Honger first looked at Lin Shuo curiously and then said, "Miss is waiting for you upstairs, come with me." Lin Shua stood up and followed. The second floor has a relatively small area, and the luxurious decoration is superior to the first floor. Turning around, a beautiful figure stood in front of the window. Qianying turned her back to him and was gazing at the north from a distance through the window. The footsteps of Lin Shua and Hong'er interrupted her thoughts. She turned around. I saw her slender figure, dressed in red like a graceful rose. Her face is delicate and enchanting, and her skin is fair as snow. Her eyes are bright and crystal clear, revealing a unique charm. Her silver hair cascaded down her fragrant shoulders, dancing gently with the gentle breeze of the window. Amazing. Even if it's not the first time I've seen it. Sit down, Yuyin instructed. Lin Shua didn't have any ink stains either. After sitting down, he directly took out the semi-finished lipstick he had made yesterday. After explaining the usage, the lipstick was placed on the table. Hong'er picked up her lipstick and handed it to Yuyin. Is it directly applied to the mouth? Yuyin took the lipstick, looked up curiously, and then sniffed it under her nose. Well, the scent of roses is my favorite flavor. After studying for a moment, Yuyin extended her left hand with her palm facing upwards. The water vapor in the air quickly condensed into her hands as if under some command. The temperature inside the room instantly dropped by several degrees, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a smooth mirror like ice mirror. Lin Shua's eyes widened and he looked incredulously. This was the first time he had seen the extraordinary strength of a high-end warrior. Although he knew that the beautiful woman in front of him might be a martial arts master, he did not expect such a means to actually exist. In the blink of an eye, it's like gathering water to form ice. If you give him this strength, a martial artist like him in the postnatal realm would have to be frozen hard. Lin Shua's heart refreshed the danger level of this world. Under the gaze of Hong'er's anticipation and Lin Shua's shock, Yuyin gently applied lipstick to her lips. The bright red color makes her lips delicate and alluring, adding a touch of allure to her delicate and beautiful face. After taking a photo for a moment, Yuyin nodded in satisfaction. Red lips lightly lifted and said, I'm very interested in this thing. Tell me, what do you want? The demon pill downstairs. After listening, Yuyin looked at Lin Shua with a teasing expression on her face and said, I'm sure the young master is not sure about the preciousness of the demon pill. Please replace it with another one. You can use all the techniques, pills, and weapons. We need the demon pill, Lin Shua firmly refused. Yuyin didn't reply, instead quietly admiring herself in the mirror. After a moment, he said to himself, monsters feed on humans, and people see them as food for cultivation. Since the appearance of demon beasts in this world, the two races of humans and demons have been inseparable. However, most of the demon races have stronger physical bodies than us humans, and some races have various terrifying innate powers. Warriors of the same level are rarely opponents of the demon race. For tens of thousands of years, without the resistance of our ancestors, the human race would probably have disappeared from this world. The young master knows that the probability of producing demon pills within the monster's body is very low, and each demon pill is a very precious resource. Upon hearing this, Lin Shua was deeply moved, as if the world had lifted a mysterious veil in front of him. After Yuyin finished speaking, her mood began to falter. Second-level demon pill. It's okay, Hong'er, go get it. After giving orders to Hong'er, Yuyin said to Lin Shua, this lipstick cannot be sold elsewhere in the future. Lin Shua naturally should be, otherwise he would not have used this clever way to achieve his goals, even if he was short of money. After chatting casually for a few more words, Lin Shua got up and said goodbye after receiving the demon pill. Shortly after Lin Shua left, Hong'er leaned over to Yuyin and whispered, Miss, isn't that demon pill a bait? It was given to this person like this, probably. Yuyin looked at this maid who grew up with her from a young age and approached the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com, looking like a younger sister. She chuckled softly and said, it's okay, there's enough time to display it downstairs. Just release the news. After Lin Shuo left the business, he turned around and ran back home. He is already a bit eager to activate the system. In no time, Lin Shuo returned to his bedroom. He took the demon pill out of the box and held the demon pill emitting high temperature in his hand. At this point, the panel also gives a prompt. Detected absorbable source force, is it absorbed? Absorb. The demon pill held in the palm disappeared instantly. The source point is starting to rise. 1, 2, 3 The martial arts realm and the additional signs behind martial arts have solidified, and now you can add points. Lin Shuo tried to add a little bit behind the martial arts realm, and suddenly a warm current swept through his body. The parts he swam through felt as comfortable as soaking in a hot spring. The source nourishes his physical body, as if it has strengthened a little bit. Since that's the case, then Swoha, Lin Shuo added all the remaining source power points to the martial arts realm. In an instant, an ultimate sense of comfort came. His muscles and bones constantly tear and recombine, becoming even stronger. The skin began to crack, oozing blood and then being repaired to become even tighter. Countless memories of day and night cultivation come to mind, tirelessly polishing the body day after day, year after year. The dantian inside the body is nourished by the source power and has grown in size, gradually increasing its internal strength. The change lasted for half an hour before slowly stopping. He has grown a size out of thin air, and his clothes and underwear are a bit out of place, making him feel bloated. Chapter 5. Conflict. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Lin Shuo clenched his fist and a powerful force emerged. The physical body, which has been strengthened by the source force, has undergone comprehensive reinforcement. Just as Lin Shuo was feeling the changes in his body, his eyes suddenly turned black and he had an extra memory in his mind. In this memory, he became a flamingo and failed to compete for the position of leader as an adult. Injured and driven out of the tribe for wandering, until one day he was killed by someone. That person has tiger face lines on their face, and their brown-yellow eyes are staring at them with fierce eyes. Suddenly appearing in front of him in a blink of an eye, and then experiencing a neck pain, his consciousness plunged into boundless darkness. Lin Shuo was panting heavily, and in that moment, he seemed to have personally experienced death. Detected fire control talent, do you want to absorb it? Warning. Depriving talents is a rare event, please choose whether to accept it. The cold prompt from the system made Lin Shuo calm down. He couldn't help but think of the extraordinary power of Yuan today to gather water and turn it into ice. I thought it was due to some advanced special technique, but now it seems like it may be a talent. Accept. In an instant, Lin Shuofu reached his heart and spread his palm upwards. A flame rose from the hand and slowly churned. The flickering flame in its hand emits light and heat, but it is not affected by the high temperature, appearing very magical. Lin Shuo was happy like a child, constantly changing the shape and heat of the flame, slowly experiencing it. After a few breaths, the flame in Lin Shuo's hand suddenly extinguished. Is this out of battery? At this moment, a sense of weakness came, indicating that the internal power in the elixir field had been cleared. I was too engrossed in playing just now and didn't notice it at all. No wonder the flames automatically went out. After resting for a moment, Lin Shuo opened the panel after his body regained some internal strength. Name. Lin Shuo Martial Arts Realm. In the later stage of the day after tomorrow, progress is 0.2% martial arts. 3 transformations of Black Dragon skill. Heavenly Scroll, progress 52% in 1 transformation source force point. 0 talent. Control fire. There is an additional talent item on the panel. A moment later, in the courtyard. Lin Shuo looked at the courtyard with a hint of sadness. In his previous memory, he spent more than 10 years practicing martial arts with his father here. Every tile here bears the sweat of both myself and my father. There is a saying that goes, things are different, people are different. Let everything rest. If you want to speak, tears will flow first. In the snowy courtyard, there are stone locks, metal blocks, wooden stakes, and other weapons for training. Lin Shua walked up to a stone lock and lifted it up. Light, too light. The 1,000-pound stone lock used for regular exercise seemed to have no weight in his hand at this moment. After randomly measuring the physical strength of his current body in the courtyard, Lin Shua nodded in satisfaction. Next is to test the power of flames. With a thought, Lin Shua flipped his right palm and a strange flame rose and jumped from his hand. He pumped all his internal strength into the flames, and in an instant, it was like cooking oil in a blazing fire, and the flame's power surged. With a gentle flick, flames quickly flew through the air and collided with the snow. Chi, water vapor evaporates, and the snow on the ground quickly melts. The damp soil was instantly baked dry and cracked open. This power. Lin Shua couldn't help but smack his tongue. If I give myself this, I'm afraid I'll be instantly burned and carbonized. It is impossible for him to withstand this with his current cultivation level in the future. After resting for a moment, I took a shower with warm water, changed into clean clothes, and then left the door. It was already getting late and there was not much time left before the roll call. Lin Shua accelerated his pace and rushed to the stronghold. In a restaurant on Shangyuan Street, Lin Shua and Wang Li, who had been busy all morning, casually ordered a few dishes and started eating lunch. Today's task is not only to inspect, but also to collect the money from the major shops on Shangyuan Street this month. This job was fine in the past, and now Shangyuan Street is nominally still under the control of the Black Dragon Club, but in reality, it is already under no one's jurisdiction. I'm afraid this money won't be easy to collect. The morning was relatively smooth, and after Wang Li used his fists to reason with several shopkeepers who jumped left and right, they all obediently paid the money. Yang Wei, this grandson, is clearly targeting us. If it weren't for his uncle, why would he sit in the position of stronghold manager? If I were to say that this son is more like you, brother Shua. Whether it's in terms of qualifications, contributions, or cultivation, brotherly, you are much stronger than him while eating meat, Wang Li complained. Roast. Pooh, this slut. I never realized he was such a petty person before. Uncle Lin took care of him like that. Now that he's in power, he's starting to suppress us. Wang Li became more and more angry as he spoke, throwing his wine glass fiercely onto the table. Lin Shua glanced at him but didn't speak. He picked up the wine jug and poured it into his mouth. Hey, brother Shua, leave a bite for me. Wang Li saw the momentum and wanted to grab it. Lin Shua shook his head and remained silent. The role of Yang Wei has never been cherished by Lin Shua. The person in the midday after tomorrow is no longer worthy of being his opponent. Only opponents during the physical training period can bring pressure to themselves. The predecessor's goal was to inherit his father's position within the gang and become a stronghold manager. Now that he has a system and witnessed the shock of Yuan gathering water into ice, Lin Shua only wants to climb to the peak of martial arts. Only in this way can we witness the wonderful scenery of this world. In a while, I will apply to become a stronghold manager. Brother Shua, are you breaking through? Wang Li looked at Lin Shua with a shocked expression on his face. Lin Shua nodded and said, don't spread it to others, focus on doing things, and I will give you an explanation. The strength in the later stage of the day after tomorrow is already considered a master in the guild. Most of the managers of branch strongholds have this level of expertise. It's more than enough to grab this position with my current strength. But Lin Shua did not have any urgent plans to expose his cultivation, and the position of the stronghold manager still needs further planning. After hearing this, Wang Li didn't say much anymore. His muscular mind completely believed in Shua Gu. Shua Gu said whatever he wanted, and he wouldn't harm him anyway. After a brief rest after drinking and eating, the two of them got busy again. Within a stronghold of the giant whale gang. Lord Long, I just received news from my subordinates that those two people from Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com have appeared on Shanyuan Street. My subordinates have already sent someone to keep an eye on them. One person knelt down on one knee, not even daring to lift their head, and flattered the ugly man in front of them. The ugly man has a fierce appearance, rough skin, and extremely ugly facial features, which are 9 points similar to Xiao Hu. This person is Xiao Long, also known as one of the twin heroes of the Xiao family along with Xiao Hu. A cruel smile appeared on Xiao Long's face and he said, "Okay, very good. Bring someone and follow me." Immediately, with a wave of his hand, he led the group of young brothers to Shanyuan Street. At this moment, Lin Shua and his companions did not notice at all that they were being targeted. Xia Bin, would you please make it convenient for the two adults? A short and wealthy shopkeeper handed a money bag to Wang Li with a smile on his face. Wang Li took the money bag and flipped the weight in his hand before opening it and counting. "Shopkeeper, the quantity is not right. Don't say you don't understand the rules. The amount of money in this column is obviously not right, not even half of the normal amount, let alone mentioning extra funds. Although collecting and listing money can be troublesome, one advantage is that it can bring in some extra income. If it weren't for the fact that Shanyuan Street is now a place of conflict, this good job wouldn't have happened to the two of them in this round. Hey, this adult, you don't know anything about it. The giant whale gang only collected a lot of money the day before yesterday, and today your Black Dragon Club is here again." Just as the shopkeeper was laughing and trying to plead, a group of people burst into the door. "Sir, people are inside." Xiao Long, dressed in the black clothes of a giant whale, hugged his elbows and walked into the house first. He had a cold and solemn face, coughed a few times, and cleared his throat. With a loud thud, he spat out a mouthful of phlegm and ran his shoes over it. "Who is Lin Shua? Get out of here." Chapter 6. Fighting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Xiao Long looked arrogantly at the few people inside the room. The shopkeeper, who was still babbling, quickly closed his mouth. After seeing the incoming person clearly, he immediately walked over to Xiao Long with a smile on his face and made a bow to please him, saying, "Sir, this way please, this way please." Xiao Long pushed away the smiling shopkeeper and grinned fiercely at Lin Shua and Wang Li. "Which of you is Lin Shua, the two of you?" Lin Shua's face was calm, and he quietly looked at Xiao Long in front of him, pondering his countermeasures. Xiao Long, a later martial artist, is a steward in a stronghold of the giant whale gang. He is powerful and has a cruel and violent personality. It is possible to rush out with a desperate effort, but there is a high probability that Wang Li will be left behind today. "I'm afraid we can't do good today." Just as Lin Shua was thinking about breaking the game, the panel began to prompt. Trigger side quest. Defeat Xiao Long. Reward. 3 rounds of Black Dragon skill, progress of 1 round is 50%. Task penalty. None. Do you want to pick it up? Surprisingly, there is no punishment for side quests, so we must take them. Wang Li saw that Lin Shua didn't show any signs, and immediately took a step forward, carrying his hands behind his back and gesturing wildly at Lin Shua. He wanted Lin Shua to find a way to escape, and he himself restrained everyone across from him. Although this kid has a muscle in his head, he is surprisingly reliable. Lin Shua immediately smiled and walked up to Wang Li, looking at everyone across from him. "I am Lin Shua." With a wave of Xiaolong's hand, the younger brothers behind him understood and surrounded Lin Shua and Wang Li. "My younger brother Xiao Hu is missing. I heard you injured him at the Four Seas restaurant. I advise you to give up struggling and endure less physical pain. Follow us obediently." Xiaolong is quite confident that Lin Shuo, who is only in the later and middle stages, will still be easily captured as long as he takes action. Take it back to the stronghold and interrogate it, then kill it easily. I not only injured your younger brother, but also killed him without hesitation. What do you think I'm here today for? Don't you think it's too coincidental? I also want to send you a message, be obedient and surrender. Lord Yang, act quickly, he is Xiaolong. Lin Shuo pointed at Xiaolong and shouted towards the door. Upon hearing the news of his younger brother's death, Xiaolong was furious, but after hearing the latter half of the sentence, he instinctively turned his head and looked back. Halfway back, he suddenly felt uncomfortable. With his hearing, he couldn't possibly not hear anyone coming in. Despicable. He roared fiercely and quickly turned back to defend. At the moment when Xiaolong turned his head, Lin Shuo strode forward and punched Xiaolong with his fists in a series. The left-hand snake shadow hits the door as a cover, and the right-hand yulong hits the chest, mainly targeting an unexpected move. In the midst of internal turmoil, a burst of force erupted, causing the muscles throughout the body to become congested, swollen, and bulged, instantly doubling the overall physical fitness. Xiaolong only had time to dodge the punch that hit the face door, and his chest was firm as he took an old punch. Bang! The figure flew up. Xiaolong stumbled backwards and was shot several meters away. Before he could stabilize his figure, he saw several fist shadows appearing in his eyes. Lin Shuo did not give him any chance to catch his breath and approach to pursue him. Xiaolong could only block in a disheveled manner, as the punch he had just made had already broken several of his ribs. Now his figure is uncertain and he cannot exert all his strength, so he can only use his hands to block his chest and defend first. It is important for martial artists of the same level to take the initiative when fighting. When they miss the initiative, they often lose the game. In just a few breaths, Xiaolong was repeatedly defeated by Lin Shuo's beating, and his mouth couldn't help but shed blood. Everyone at the Giant Whale Society was stunned for a moment, and in the blink of an eye, they saw their big brother being violently hammered. I don't know who shouted for help, but everyone came to their senses and quickly drew out their weapons to attack Lin Shuo. Lin Shuo saw everyone hitting him and used all his strength to kick Xiaolong's hands. He didn't go to see the outcome, but instead punched the nearest members of the Whale Society. That person is just barely capable of withstanding Lin Shuo's punch at the beginning of the day after tomorrow. I saw him fly out over 10 meters and roll on the ground twice before falling asleep. The other members of the Whale Assembly were all startled and took a few steps back in fear. Lin Shuo looked at the crowd of the Giant Whale Society indifferently and said, "If you're not afraid of death, come on. Unfortunately. Give yourself some more time, and in a few moves, you will be able to defeat Xiaolong." Everyone exchanged eye contact with each other and retreated towards Xiaolong in perfect agreement. A group of people rushing forward may hurt Lin Shuo, but they don't want to become the second person to lie on the board. Xiaolong blushed and struggled to stand with trembling hands. He was very frustrated in his heart, and before he could take action, he was caught off guard. He, who was beaten throughout the entire process, could not fully unleash 10% of his strength. But losing means losing, there's nothing to say. The timing, location, and harmony of martial artists are also an indispensable part. "Sir, what should we do now?" One of them looked at Xiaolong with a hopeful expression on his face. He really hopes that Xiaolong can withdraw so that he doesn't have to go up and work hard. What if Lin Shuo goes crazy and wants to pull a few cushions? Upon hearing this, Xiaolong forcefully swallowed the blood flowing upstream, and now he cannot show any signs of decline. If these little brothers are not afraid of death to restrain Lin Shuo, then he is not without the power of a first battle. I just know from their current appearance that they are almost scared out of their wits. These guys usually bully weaker people more than anyone else, and they immediately become weak when they encounter experts. A bunch of damn things. Let's go. Seeing that today's affairs were beyond our control, Xiaolong resolutely decided to go back and cultivate himself first, and then make plans later. Lin Shua stepped over the crowd and blocked the entrance. "None of you can leave today, let's all leave for me." Taking advantage of his illness now and risking his life, even taking some risks today is worth it. Xiaolong took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed his discomfort before using the secret technique. His whole body was pounding with internal energy, and his height of over 2 meters was even more oppressive. "Come with me, those who don't listen will die." Xiaolong shouted and rushed towards Lin Shua first. Upon seeing this, all the younger brothers were also determined and prepared to take a desperate gamble by searching for the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com. They also cannot afford the consequences of violating orders. Xiaolong suddenly accelerated his body and charged forward, punching Lin Shua in the head. Lin Shua instantly bent down and squatted down, avoiding the punch before charging forward and bypassing Xiaolong. Lin Shua rushed into the crowd like a starving tiger, punching the group behind him on the heads. The person's neck twisted in an instant, flew out a few meters, and then rolled on the ground a few times before falling asleep. Between a few breaths, people kept flying out and falling to the ground. Xiaolong quickly turned around and hit Lin Shua on the back. Lin Shua rolled onto the ground and broke free from the encirclement. Xiaolongyue was getting more and more frightened as he fought. He had already used his secret technique to increase his strength, but Lin Shua was like a slippery loach, unable to hit at all. "And I have injuries that drag me down, so I must fight quickly and make a quick decision." With the help of the younger brothers, not only did they not gain the upper hand, but they also lost a few manpower. "Don't be afraid, keep up with me. Whoever hurts Lin Shua first, I'll make him the deputy manager of the stronghold." The mixed gang wanted to stand out, and upon hearing of this benefit, everyone suppressed their fear and continued to surround them. "Kill!" Xiaolong shouted loudly. He was on guard this time, waving his fists while also guarding against Lin Shua's murder after circling around. The two faced each other head-on, and the sound of their fists and feet combined was like a drum beating. The bricks on the ground couldn't withstand their strength, shattering and splashing. A group of little brothers saw them fighting together and couldn't get in touch for a moment. "I can only occasionally find opportunities to interfere with Lin Shua." Lin Shua turned around and kicked the knife that came from behind, but he couldn't take down the injured Xiaolong for a while. Xiaolong was restless and couldn't maintain his secret technique for long, let alone suppress his injuries now. Chapter 7. Revenge Not Overnight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. The sound of punches and kicks constantly echoed on the field. Xiaolong occasionally made a harmonious sound, while Lin Shua remained silent. Not long after, a knife cut through Lin Shua's back, and a bloody cut suddenly appeared. Facing people of the same level and having to be distracted to deal with others, Lin Shua also paid a price. "Hurry up, keep going. He's injured. Whoever kills him first will be rewarded 500 taels." Xiaolong continued to entangle Lin Shua while shouting loudly. Just as Lin Shua couldn't help but want to summon flames to break the game, a figure appeared behind Xiaolong stealthily. "Sir, be careful behind you." Suddenly, a person screamed in terror to remind Xiaolong. Xiaolong was shocked, his whole body and mind were on Lin Shua in front of him. "I didn't even notice that someone was ambushing him from behind. I saw Wang Li unexpectedly appear behind Xiaolong at some point and stab him in the back of the neck with a knife." Xiaolong had no choice but to forcefully twist his body. "I dodged the machete behind me to the extreme, but couldn't avoid Lin Shua's old fist in front of me." Puff. A mouthful of blood surged into the sky. Xiaolong punched directly in the chest and flew out. Lin Shua was about to pursue, but there were also rumors coming from behind. He had no choice but to turn around and deal with these annoying flies first. Not long. After a few sounds of falling to the ground, the remaining crowd scattered birds and beasts. When he looked at Xiao Long again, he found that there was no one there. The task prompt sound came. The branch task has been completed, rewards have been issued, and can be withdrawn at any time. It seems that he really ran away. Brother Shua, stop looking, he has already run away. Wang Li rubbed his hands and walked over with a grin on his face. I just saw him wanting to run away, so I went over and stopped him. I didn't expect him to suffer such a heavy injury and still be so strong. I'm sorry Shua, I didn't stop him. Lin Shua breathed a sigh of relief and sat on the ground, feeling exhausted. The sequelae of his martial arts made him unable to exert his strength. Brother Shua, isn't your back painful? Wang Li grinned wide, with a mischievous smile on his honest face. No pain. Is it really not painful? Stop talking nonsense, help me see how the injury is in the back. The shopkeeper, who was trembling behind the table, heard that there was no movement outside and leaned forward to look inside. In the distance, there were several people lying on the ground in all directions. The ground is shattered like a monster stepping in, a mess. It's over. It's all over. Seeing so far. The shopkeeper sat down on the ground with weak legs, crying loudly. So many members of the giant whale gang have died in my own store, and I'm sure I'll be implicated. I'm afraid I won't be able to survive. It's okay, Brother Shua. The injury is not deep, it's a skin and flesh injury. After examining Lin Shua's wound, Wang Li walked over to the shopkeeper and picked him up. Shopkeeper, I advise you to go out and hide for a while, and come back after the situation is resolved. At this moment, Lin Shua also walked over and threw several money bags to the shopkeeper, saying, Shopkeeper, this matter is up to me. These money belong to these people, which can be considered as compensation, and there is also a list of money to repay you. After speaking, he asked Wang Li to take out the money and return it to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper still had a bitter face, full of helplessness. He can't afford to offend anyone, it seems like he can only run away first. Lin Shua couldn't bear to see him like this, but he didn't have a good solution for a while. The two of them took a break and left amidst the sound of the shopkeeper bidding farewell. Fortunately, the injury is not deep. Just apply some medicine and rest for a few days. Be careful not to touch the wound in the past few days. After seeing Lin Shua's wound, the doctor prescribed some external dressing for him. The two of them finally relaxed. After parting ways at the entrance of the medical clinic, Wang Li brought a column of money back to pay his respects, while Lin Shua walked towards his home. He is already eager to go back and add points. In the bedroom, Lin Shua locked the door and sat cross-legged on the bed. He looked at the panel. Name: Lin Shua Martial Arts Realm. In the later stage of the day after tomorrow, progress is 0.2% martial arts. 3 transformations of Black Dragon skill. The day after tomorrow scroll, progress of 1 transformation is 52%, 50% progress reward is locked, source force point. 0 talent. Control fire, so, add some. Lin Shua gently stands behind the martial arts. In an instant, Lin Shua's mind flashed with countless memories of his hard work in practicing the Black Dragon technique day and night. Day after day, year after year, various cultivation insights surged in my heart until one day, I crossed a certain critical point. After an epiphany, the understanding of martial arts entered a Zintiandi. At this point, the martial arts on the panel have changed to 3 transformations of Black Dragon technique, with a progress of 0.2% in the second transformation. Although the improvement in martial arts did not directly enhance his physical fitness and martial arts realm. But with his current strength, he can play several of himself before adding points. The highest level of cultivation in the martial arts set of Black Dragon technique is 3 rotations, which can instantly unleash the potential within the body. Explode 3 times your physical potential in just 1 cup of tea. The power of the second transformation is usually only mastered by those who practice martial arts, but Lin Shuo, with the help of the system, helped him cross this threshold. Under full force, a typical warrior in the later stage of the day after tomorrow cannot be his opponent. Lin Shuo couldn't help but start using the power of the second transformation. In an instant, a violent force emerged, and a tearing sensation filled the body with swelling and pain. With his current internal strength and physical fitness, he may only be able to hold on for a few minutes and lose all his strength by forcefully using the power of the second rotation. After feeling for a moment, Lin Shuo gasped heavily and lay still in bed. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Just now, almost half of the internal strength had been drained. After resting for a moment, Lin Shuo rested his hands behind his head. I began to recall the battles of the day in my mind. If it weren't for Wang Li, one of the divine swords, today, I might have suffered even more severe injuries in the back, and I wouldn't have won so easily. Before the crisis of life and death, Lin Shuo would never easily reveal the secret of his ability to summon flames. Because he felt that this talent was not something that future warriors could master. If exposed, it may cause even greater trouble. Late at night, Lin Shuo's figure flashed and quietly left home. Xiao Long's face showed fatigue, and he just saw off a steward in the gang. The two of them had been conspiring for a long time. After promising significant benefits, we successfully convinced him to join forces against Lin Shuo. At this moment, there was a faint pain in my heart and hands, and I couldn't fall asleep for a moment. I decided to reflect on the lessons learned during the day. I suffered a disastrous defeat during the day and fled in embarrassment because I was ambushed first. I will never let such things happen again in the future. When Lin Shuo falls into his own hands, I will make sure he cannot survive or die. Suddenly, there was a sudden inspiration and I looked up at the door. A black shadow rushed towards him like lightning, and the knife light flashed by. Xiao Longgang was about to rise up in rebellion when blood surged into the sky. A spherical object rolled on the ground a few times, and Xiao Long's eyes were wide open, his mouth silently opened twice, losing his composure in his unwilling eyes. He's dead. Black Shadow casually threw the knife in his hand onto the ground, lit a fire switch on the bed, and then turned around to leave. The flames surged into the sky, the north wind howled, and a figure disappeared into the night with the sound of wind and snow. Chapter 8. Inner City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the next day. Lin Shuo woke up late for a rare meeting. I couldn't sleep for a while after returning home in the middle of last night. The scorching pain of the wound mercilessly reminded him of the cruelty and danger of this world. I'm still too weak myself, sure, it's time for breakfast. Lin's mother shouted outside the door. Here we go. Lin Shuo quickly got up, put on his clothes, and walked out of the room. After barely finishing his meal, Lin Shuo prepared to go to the street to have some more. Since the breakthrough in the later stage after birth, the overall demand for food has increased. The sunshine outside is bright, and it's rare to have a good weather. The sidewalks on both sides of the street have left deep footprints, and many nearby shops have already opened. Lin Shuo walked steadily, not planning to go to the stronghold today, but preparing to go to the main hall of the Black Dragon Club. Passing by a breakfast shop, a tempting aroma came in. There are many diners here, and I believe the taste is not bad. Lin Shuo casually found a seat to sit down. Boss, let's have 5 buns of meat and a bowl of soybean milk. The shop owner is a middle-aged man with dark skin. He immediately responded enthusiastically, okay, sir. Please wait a moment, girl. Serve the dishes to this guest. The little girl is as thin as a bean sprout. The small black body shook slightly, and with great difficulty, he brought the steamed bun steamer over. Upon seeing this, Lin Shuo hurriedly went to pick it up. In this world, no one is easy. Lin Shua picked up one at a time and swallowed it one by one. Well, the taste is really good. After eating and drinking enough, Lin Shua rested for a moment and stood up to pay. It's time to set off. In the east of the city, carriages and horses were parked neatly on the street at the entrance. Lin Shua was still here for the first time and looked curiously at the carriage at the door. The horse is tall and powerful, far exceeding all the horses he has seen in his past life. The entire horse is adorned with sturdy metal armor, each piece of which is carefully crafted. The surface of the armor shimmered with cold light, and behind the carriage were exquisite carriages connected. Lin Shua had just walked into the store when a servant quickly welcomed him. After negotiating the price, Lin Shua sat in the carriage and closed his eyes to rest. The carriage was running rapidly on the lane, at a speed that could catch up with previous cars, but it was a bit bumpy when sitting. According to the coachman, these horses all contain a trace of demon bloodline, no wonder they can run so fast. The entire city of Yuanhe has a population of 1 million and covers a very large area, divided into two parts. Inside and outside. The outer city is where he currently resides. It is divided into 4 directions. East, west, north, south. The 3 religions and 9 streams, and most of the traffickers and soldiers live in the outer city. Most high-ranking officials from various organizations, and high-ranking warriors reside in the inner city. Ordinary people who want to live in the inner city must have a fixed property or purchase a long-term residential identity card. And this price, ordinary people can only be deterred. After an hour or so, the carriage came to a slow stop. "My guest, here we are." The sound of a coachman coming from outside. Lin Shua got off the car and moved his hands and feet, feeling uncomfortable with the bumpy journey. A city wall several tens of meters high appeared in front of me, and several tens of meter long lines lined up at the entrance of the city. Lin Shua randomly selected a queue that looked shorter and lined it up. After queuing for a long time, it was finally my turn. After paying the entry fee, the gatekeeper threw a temporary identity waste tag to Lin Shua and reminded him, "Remember to leave the city before dark." Lin Shua nodded and followed the crowd into the city. The air seemed to contain intangible energy, and his breathing made his body feel even more comfortable. If one can live here for a long time, it may be beneficial for their martial arts cultivation. Walking on the inner city street, the whole street looks clean and tidy, even the snow on the street has been swept onto both sides of the road. The pedestrians on the road were dressed in brocade, and their faces were no longer the same as those from other cities, with a hint of blood on them. Lin Shua couldn't help but sigh at the gap between inside and outside the city, as if the wall was separated by 2 worlds. After identifying a direction, he walked towards the headquarters of the Black Dragon Club. Black Dragon Club headquarters. The heavy gate is made of redwood and metal, and is carved with exquisite patterns and dragon-shaped patterns. There are 2 huge stone lions in front of the door, vividly guarding it, giving people a sense of solemnity and majesty. Lin Shua walked to the door and was stopped by the guard. The guard looked at him wearing guild logo clothing and politely asked for his purpose. "Could you please report to Director Yang and ask Lin Shua, the eastern stronghold of the outer city, to meet?" Lin Shua clenched his fists. "Wait a moment here," the guard turned and reported. After a moment, the guard politely said to Lin Shua, "Deacon Yang asked you to go to the side hall. He's waiting for you there, come with me." Lin Shua followed the guards to the side hall. The side hall was very large, and as soon as I entered, I saw a person sitting at the table, drinking tea with their head down. This person has a round face, an inch-long head, and a beard all over his face. He looks about the same age as his father. Yang Xiong put down his teacup and didn't look up. He said calmly, "Are you Lin Shua? Tell me, why are you looking for me?" Lin Shua remained neither humble nor overbearing. This time, firstly, I will report my breakthrough to the Lord. The second is to apply to become the manager of the outer city's eastern stronghold. Upon hearing this, Yang Xiong's eyebrows trembled. He put down his teacup and looked up at Lin Shuo, saying, "Oh. Are you already in the later stage of the day after tomorrow?" Glancing around for a moment, he nodded and said, "Not bad, not bad. I'm young and have a bright future. According to the rules, with your cultivation level in the later stage of the day after tomorrow, you can indeed take charge of a stronghold." Zhaozuiyuan.com. But do you know that Yang Wei, the current stronghold manager, is my nephew? After Yang Xiong finished speaking, he expressionlessly picked up his teacup and continued to drink. Lin Shuo naturally knew about this matter. Since he dares to propose, he is confident. "Sir, give me 1 month's time. From now on, the money submitted by the outer city east stronghold will double every month. The extra portion is yours, sir." "Oh. Interesting, really interesting. Then it depends on you, give you 1 month's time. Do you understand the consequences of not being able to do it then?" Crack, crack. The teacup was instantly crushed into pieces. "Go down and go to the grocery store to collect your clothes and identification waist tag." Lin Shuagong respectfully withdraws. He didn't feel at ease about Yang Xiong's threat. If you don't reach the body refining period within 3 months, you'll be dead on both sides. A lot of debt doesn't weigh on oneself. After a moment, Yang Xiong lightly tapped his index finger on the table and said, "Someone, pass on Yang Wei to see me." He decided to have Yang Wei focus on Lin Shuo and see if he had any means to boast. Moreover, there are signs of further deterioration in the relationship with the giant whale gang, and in case of a fight, he cannot guarantee Yang Wei's safety. Why don't we just push the boat with the flow and let Lin Shuo replace the dead ghost? After receiving clothes and waist tags from the miscellaneous hall, Lin Shuo began to stroll around the inner city. It's a rare visit, Lin Shuo is ready to take a good stroll. The wide streets are lined with various buildings, each with a more luxurious appearance. At first glance, there are casinos, restaurants, weapon shops, red mansions, and commercial establishments to choose from. Lin Shuo decided to take a look inside the business first. It would be best if he could find a shop selling demon pills. Chapter 9. Encounter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Baibao Pavilion, first floor lobby. Lin Shuo looked blankly at various sales items. Although there are many strange items that have never been seen before, the system panel shows no response. Baibao, I'm a bit sorry for its name. Lin Shuo shook his head and prepared to look at another one. Just walked out of the door. A thin man dressed in black and wearing a hat walked in and brushed past him. A faint bloody smell came in. Lin Shuo's eyelids twitched and his intuition went crazy as a warning. This person is very difficult to deal with. At this moment, the panel began to crazily prompt. Detected absorbable source force, detected absorbable source force. His heart trembled. This person carries demon pills or items that can be absorbed by the panel. To avoid being noticed, Lin Shuo didn't keep staring at him. Anyway, it's all inside the house, so I'm not afraid of losing it. The man with a bamboo hat walked straight inside. After entering a hallway, it disappeared from Lin Shuo's view in the blink of an eye. He pondered for a moment and turned around to follow. In the middle of the aisle, there is a staircase that leads directly to the second floor after turning a corner. Just as Lin Shuo was about to go up the second floor to explore, a lazy voice came from behind. "This guest, please stop." A young man walked from behind with a smile on his face. This is a young man who appears to be in his 20s. He was dressed in luxurious attire and had a gentle temperament, with a large black-haired parrot standing on his shoulder. "Please stop, Giggle, please stop, Giggle." The black-haired parrot shouted clearly. "Are you Lin Shuo was taken aback and asked politely. Xian Xiaming, the young master of Baibao Pavilion. After looking at Lin Shuo, Xian Xiaming ignored him. Isn't it allowed to go up on the second floor? Lin Shuo spoke with confusion in his heart. The second floor is only open to warriors with a duration of 2 days or more, or guests can also access the active stone. I see that the guest does not have any source power fluctuations, so their cultivation level is probably not achievable. So, guest, may I ask if you have any active stones? Qian Sheming turned around and looked at Lin Shuo with a playful expression on his face. Lin Shuo shook his head helplessly and asked curiously, Yuanshi, what is that? Qian Sheming shook his head without answering. Upon seeing this, Lin Shuo dared not force himself and had no choice but to leave the Baibao Pavilion first. In the restaurant across the street, Lin Shuo casually ordered some food to eat. Through the window on the second floor, one can clearly see the entrance of Baibao Pavilion. He is waiting here while eating. It was already approaching noon, and the person had not yet come out of the Baibao Pavilion. Lin Shuo decided to settle the bill and not wait any longer. He still has one afternoon left and can go to a few more places to see. Inner City, Council Hall of the Whale Gang headquarters. Several people sat around the table. I said, Lao Zhuo, what are you calling us to do? Are those little brats from the Black Dragon Club moving again? One of the black-faced men stood up impatiently. Old cow, sit down. That's right, the left protector hasn't spoken yet. Why are you in a hurry, old cow? The others were full of gossip. Pa, the left protector clapped his palm on the table, creating a peaceful atmosphere indoors. The hustle and bustle remained silent. In the morning, we received news that Xiaolong, the steward of our outer city's eastern stronghold, was burned to death at home. Currently, we have identified the suspected culprit, Lin Shuo. This person is a member of the Black Dragon Society. Do you have any opinions? After speaking, he handed over Lin Shuo's information to everyone. Lin Shuo, the son of Lin Sheng, the steward of the Eastern Front stronghold of the Black Dragon Society, has great strength in the later period of the day after tomorrow. Once fought alone against Xiaolong and more than 10 ordinary gang members without defeat. Suspected to master the secret technique of the Black Dragon Society, the power of the Black Dragon technique. There is very little information and it is very simple. After all, Lin Shuo didn't have much fame before, and his strength in the middle of the day after tomorrow is not worth mentioning. Is there any conspiracy here? Xiaolong is also considered a skilled player in the day after tomorrow. How could he easily die in the hands of this person? Is there another killer? Someone pondered and questioned after reading it. You don't have to guess anymore. I have already asked Constable Xing to survey the scene this morning, and based on his inference, it is confirmed that it was Lin Shuo alone who did it. Constable Xing. Is that the Fire-Eye Lion Dragon Constable Xing? If it's him, then there's no problem. It's rumored that his red eyes have never been seen before. Since everyone knows who it is, why are you waiting? I'll go and come. Brothers, wait here for a moment, and I will take Lin Shuo's head on the neck. The black-faced man stood up and rushed out. Stop me, what kind of behavior are you? Can you use your brain as a steward during the training period? Left protector shouted loudly. Today, if you dare to bully the small with the big, then tomorrow the Black Dragon Society will also dare to do the same to us. How can you make the gang members below survive? The black-faced man, upon hearing the scolding, awkwardly scratched his head and sat back in place, covering his head and drinking tea. He is not prepared to speak anymore. He is good at chopping people, and asking him to provide advice is purely casting pearls before swine. Why don't you ask Li Jiu to take action? With his intervention, there won't be many opponents of the same level in the entire outer city. That's a good idea. Subordinate, let Li Jiu ruthlessly kill the Black Dragon Society's spirit. Supplementary proposal. Left Protector nodded in agreement with everyone's viewpoint. Then arrange for Li Jiu to go to the east of the outer city and hang Lin Shua's head at the entrance of their stronghold for public display. The Li family also has the intention of encouraging us to expand, so that he can confidently work and eat as much land as he can conquer at this moment. Lin Shua, who was still wandering in the inner city, had no idea that trouble was coming. It was getting late, and he had been busy all afternoon, but full of disappointment. He walked through the commercial houses in this area and found that most of them were not much different from Baibao Pavilion. Zhaozuiyuan.com. With his strength in the later stages of the day after tomorrow, he will have a fundamental exposure to advanced things. Whenever he tries to inquire about information such as the Demon Dan Source Stone, no one is willing to talk to him. As it was getting late and the time for staying in the city was approaching, Lin Shua decided to leave the city first. At this point, there were many people leaving the city, so he called a carriage and rushed to the east of the outer city. The journey was bumpy, and after entering the east of the city, it was almost dark. The traffic in front of the carriage and horse shop in the east of the city is endless, with carriages rushing back and forth. Lin Shua flipped over and jumped off the carriage. At this moment, a carriage also stopped at the station, right next to his carriage. A middle-aged man with a small beard and a plump physique got off the car. The familiar smell of blood and panel prompts are transmitted. Lin Shua remained calm on the surface, but was surprised in his heart. This person is actually the man in the bamboo hat he met in the Baibao Pavilion. The difference in appearance between the two is so significant that without the slightest hint of smell and panel cues, it would be impossible to associate them together. A few strong men were looking up eagerly at the people getting off the carriage not far away. When they saw them, they quickly carried a sedan chair over. The middle-aged man disappeared into the sedan chair in the darkness. "Who is that person, such a big show?" Lin Shua asked the coachman, pointing to the sedan chair that had gone far away. "Oh, that's Mr. Chen from Yixian Courtyard," the coachman smiled with a smile that even a man could understand. "It's really like there's no way out when the mountains and rivers are exhausted, and another village with hidden willows and bright flowers." Lin Shua couldn't help but marvel at his good luck. If there are no more prompts on the panel within 3 months, this person is his only hope. It's worth trying even at the risk of losing one's life. Chapter 10. Uprising. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the Black Dragon Society stronghold in the east of the outer city. The gang members are whispering to each other. Just now Yang Wei announced that he will step down from the position of manager and Lin Shua will take over. Everyone is quiet, Manager Lin will come soon. After Yang Wei scolded loudly, he stood in front of everyone with a solemn expression on his face. Uncle had already explained the situation to him yesterday, and even if he didn't want to, he had to cooperate well. At this moment, Lin Shua slowly stepped into the door and walked to the front of the stage. "Starting from today, I will be responsible for this stronghold. Daily affairs are as usual, and Wang Li serves as the deputy manager of the base." Wang Li chuckled foolishly after listening. "Brother Shua is really full of loyalty. When you develop, you immediately think of me." Everyone couldn't help but cast envious gazes, secretly sighing in their hearts that this guy had really had bad luck. But they also dare not raise objections. After all, even related party Yang Wei dare not object. Yang Wei licked his lips with a calm expression on his face. But he cursed inwardly. "You should be happy, little did you know that you were just 2 ghosts replacing the dead." After seeing everyone's reaction, Lin Shua nodded and said, "Ali, I have something important to handle for you. Gather all the owners of restaurants, brothels, casinos, and inns under my jurisdiction here for discussion. I have something to tell them. If you dare not come or not, you will take care of it." Wang Li nodded at the words and turned around to summon a group of young brothers to leave the door in a grand manner. A few hours later. The owners of major restaurants, brothels, casinos, and inns in Changgilfang and Chongqingfang arrived at the base hall and took their seats, greeting each other with a bow of curiosity on their faces. They have no interaction with the Black Dragon Society in their profession except for submitting regular fees, but they dare not come. The Black Dragon Society cannot afford to offend them. Mr. Liu and Mr. Su, you have more connections than us. Have you heard any news? What does Mr. Lin want to do when he comes to us? Someone asked the two wealthiest bosses. Mr. Liu runs a gambling house, while Mr. Su runs a brothel, making him the wealthiest among these bosses. I don't know, I only know that this Lin boss is the son of the former Lin Xing steward and has no interaction with him, Mr. Su said helplessly. Just as a group of people were speaking, Lin Shua walked into the hall. The bosses looked at the young and handsome Lin Shua with different hearts. Being the leader of a stronghold at such a young age is either powerful or has connections with high-level officials. Bosses, I am Lin Shua. Since tonight, I have the final say, and I still need your attention. Lin Shua sat in the main seat with a smile on his face, looking very friendly. The bosses couldn't understand Lin Shua's meaning and exchanged glances, but no one spoke. Mr. Su, who was sitting at the forefront, stood up and arched his hand with a smile. Mr. Lin, I don't know what you're asking us for, but it's okay to say so. I promise to do what Mr. Su can do. Mr. Su is polite. So I really have something to discuss with everyone today, it's about example money. Lin Shua paused for a moment and scanned the bosses. The boss below Chi-Chi's face changed, and indeed he came for money. In the future, our Black Dragon Club will not take a penny out of our monthly allowance. What? The bosses all had incredible expressions on their faces. Before they could say anything, Lin Shua changed his tone and said, however, from now on, I will draw 20% of the money you earn every month. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole audience was stunned for a moment. The boss shouted, it's impossible, don't even think about it. Getting up and wanting to leave. Don't be impatient, bosses. Ali, close the door and listen to me finish speaking. This action instantly made all the bosses present lose their sense of security. But on second thought, with so many people, he was not afraid of causing any mischief, so he quieted down. Everyone, since I dare to ask you to hand over 20% of the profits, it's not in vain. I have my own way to make your monthly profits at least double. The bosses don't believe it. If you have this ability, why are you still in a gang? It's not good to be the boss yourself if you have this ability. Manager Lin, are you joking? Mr. Su's face lit up with a smile. It's time for you people to experience the decline and blow of modern business methods. I believe everyone has also noticed that all the bosses together have just put together 4 words. Eat, drink, play, and have fun, but everyone has not done a good job in comprehensive services. Think about it, everyone. When guests gamble at the gambling house, beautiful girls serve them closely. If he wins and cheers you on, he is likely to continue gambling. Are you hungry after playing? Do you want to eat something? Are you tired of playing and want to rest? So why not cooperate? Let's work together to create a comprehensive venue. Are customers afraid that they won't make money even if they spend all their money here? It's better for all the bosses to work together, grow and strengthen together, and create brilliance together. At first, the bosses didn't feel anything, but as Lin Shua talked more and more, he couldn't help but nod frequently. They were stunned by the modern business practices. No one is a fool who can embark on such a career. After Lin Shua finished speaking, all the bosses also understood. The next step is for the bosses to discuss cooperation issues. Lin Shua did not urge them, but quietly watched as they fought for a little profit, their faces turning red and their ears turning red. Watching their noisy appearance, Lin Shua felt quite bored. In this life, I only want to climb to a higher level of martial arts and pursue extraordinary physical death without regret. After a moment, the discussion gradually faded away. Zhaoshuyuan.com Mr. Lin, we have discussed your plan and it is indeed feasible. Can we go back and discuss and get back to you tomorrow? Mr. Su slowly spoke up. He is still very optimistic about this plan in his heart, but he doesn't want to give 20% of the profit. After returning today, I can still do it by privately connecting various bosses. Why give Lin Shua an extra 20% profit? With so many people present, Lin Shua couldn't possibly kill them all. Lin Shua glanced coldly at the crowd and said, Mr. Su, I understand what you're thinking. But you may not have figured out the current situation, this is the Black Dragon Club. Also, you're too greedy, I don't like you. As soon as he finished speaking, he lightly slapped Mr. Su with a palm. Mr. Su let out a scream, spat out blood and flew out, knocking several chairs all the way and fainting. Everyone present's eyelids twitched as they watched. Mr. Lu quickly persuaded him upon seeing the situation, fearing that Lin Shua would go crazy and kill them all. Now I'll give you two paths, one is to sign the contract, and the other is to be like him. Oh, by the way, there's something I forgot to tell you. 20% of the profit goes to Yang Xiong, the steward of the Black Dragon Association. If you think the backstage is even harder than him, you can leave now, Lin Shua said expressionlessly and lightly. The boss present quickly shook his head and began to sign the contract. Compared to the backstage team, they cannot compete, nor can they defeat the Black Dragon Club group with force. If you dare not sign, it will be disrespectful. Moreover, this plan really has its advantages. If it can be implemented, doubling the profits is not a problem. Under the leadership of Mr. Lu, everyone signed their names on the contract.